What's up, guys? Welcome to my channel, and today I'm going to talk about psychedelics and why you should be careful in taking psilocybin mushrooms or any type of psychedelic. So I think that God, he made natural. I believe in that everything has an antithesis. I think that all of our diseases are caused by chemicals that we are exposed to, or radiation, such as cell phone towers and household chemicals, makeup, whatever women use, GMO stuff. And I think that there are things in nature like plants and herbs and stuff like that that can be used as medicine. And I think, like example, cannabis, I think it could have been created just for us to, if someone was in pain, they would use that to relieve themselves, but not to abuse it, as I did I think I quit about over a year ago, and thank God I did. My point is that God made natural things for the human for a purpose, for a reason, but not to abuse. Now, alcohol, on the other hand, is pretty much like you're drinking something that's rotten, and that's why they call it devil's drink, right? But psilocybin mushrooms, I feel like there is a purpose for it. I feel like they are, if you know anything about computer maintenance, the brain is like a computer, right? It's like defragging your computer. It's a maintenance task that reorganizes files in your computer to free up space, and I think it could be useful to do that maybe once in your lifetime. Some people, I know, they do it once a year, but the point is, it's kind of, you're very vulnerable when you take psychedelic mushrooms because you're very open to spiritual attack and influence, because I believe there's a spiritual realm, and I believe that when you take these psychedelics such as like DMT and psilocybin mushrooms, it pretty much dissolves the barrier between reality and the spiritual realm, and then there are so-called beings that will interact with a person. And I've taken psilocybin mushrooms in my life, but pretty much it was very interesting because I've taken them multiple times, and there was like a common theme that was always pushed, and even people I've spoken to and read online, there's always a similar common theme of like oneness, or like us being one with the universe or one with everything. And some of my experiences were very powerful, but I want to just tell you about like the dangers, because essentially if you use them, you should probably pray for protection before you do it. But what they can do is that they can kind of like release suppressed emotions deep within the person, and they could promote self-love or feelings of forgiveness or epiphanies, or essentially you're gonna start, some people might start crying a lot, like I've done, because it's just like kind of, it releases all these emotions that you've buried, that you didn't even know that you were suffering, like you had them buried deep within your mind or body. But straight up, you could start having negative thinking, and essentially what's happening is that these entities, these demonic spirits, they start attacking you and making you feel like down. Like they start making you feel like you're really low and worthless, and you start almost believing in it. And then after that passes, you kind of go through a more positive stage. But again, I don't recommend Christians do psychedelics. I mean, if you know God, you don't need to do it. But I've even heard people who had brain damage using them, and they helped with their brain. But again, natural things should not be abused, right? Or like natural drugs, right? And I mean, any of these natural drugs is better, 100% better than the big pharma. As I did used to work in a pharmacy, and we were just essentially shipping out, it was a private pharmacy, and we were just shipping out medication. The only things we were shipping were insulin, like Ozempic, which costs like thousands of dollars for a shot. The staff would say, oh, it's for cancer, people who are fighting cancer, but that's a lie. It was just for fat, rich women to like lose weight. Or we would send out impotency medication for men's impotency, which can be rectified through fixing your posture and doing back strengthening exercises, because that's actually due to a compression in the nerves. And also we were sending out hormone change drugs, which, you know, I'm not a big supporter of, because I believe we should accept how God made us, and most of these people are just brainwashed from the media at young age, and most of them, after they do transgender, after they transition, they do regret it, and they say, shit, I should have never done that. Also, we were sending out antidepressants and stuff like that. So nothing that can't be fixed through natural means, because I believe that for the most part, depression is just because someone is unhappy with their life, whether it be a lack of love, lack of friendship, lack of respect, lack of income, lack of life experiences, you know, just overworking, stuff like that. If we fix stuff in our life, make ourselves more confident and healthy, and change our diet, I believe that we can fight against anxiety and depression. Also the posture, because our spine is, when our spine is aligned, if it's crooked or like curved, then the signals don't travel directly through our spine, from our brain to our spine and to our body. And essentially, if we have pain in our body, that will affect how we feel. But anyway, straight up, what happened was that you guys already know from my channel that I talk about this elite hidden ruling class of these people who are in these secret societies, and they network, and they pretty much have all the power because they have all the wealth, and they pretty much put every government in their pocket, bought them out, and they have every corporation in their control, and they use them to, well, the corporations are set up to influence man with their products or with their media. But what they believe in is that essentially this is what they believe they're actually good, and I'm going to explain why. Because when I took the psilocybin mushrooms, one time I took a pretty huge heroic dose, and I was essentially questioning my own belief in Jesus Christ, my own belief in God. And I was thinking during this experience, I was thinking essentially information was coming to me, and I was thinking, damn, I was feeling like I was connected to everything, and that when I moved my body, reality was shifting, and that it was like a big fabric, and that it was like a tapestry. And I could see that the elites and the Illuminati, the illuminated ones who are studied in esoteric Gnosticism, which is, they think, the ultimate truth. Essentially, those people were part of the tapestry, and beside them was the next tier of people in society, and beneath them was the next tier, and so on until you get to the lowest part. And I felt like we could either better our lives and accept the truth, because they believe that they do believe in God, and they think that he's evil and not the true God, and they believe that he's a dualistic in nature, and they believe that there's a God of above, a God of below. The God of above is of order and perfection, and the God of below is about freedom and chaos. They call it, the mother goddess, or the Sophia, but it's essentially Satan, and he has many names, but essentially they think that the God of above his name is Yaldabaoth, and they think that he's they believe that, okay, the true God is called the source, an energy source, and it's not really like a God, it's just like a kind of a force, and that man can tap into it, and essentially everything is God, and we are God. We are a fractal of God, and they believe that God fractaled himself into infinite pieces, and he's good and evil, and he did that to experience everything, and that it's like an infinite cycle of death and rebirth, and that slowly over time, when man starts realizing through information, through getting enlightened, that we are God, that he's going to remember who he is, because he forgot who he is, because he's fractaled into infinite pieces. And then he's going to say, oh shoot, what I was realizing was, during the trip, I was like, the ultimate truth. I was trying to figure out what this meant, right? And it pretty much meant that it was very sad, because I was pretty scared, because I was questioning what I believed, right? And I was thinking, okay, so the Illuminati are right, and that straight up we are God, and that we're never gonna see our parents again, family, or the love of our life. We're never gonna spend forever with them, because if it's an infinite cycle, we just have to enjoy now, and then when we die, we'll never be this. We'll lose who we were. And then we're going to be reincarnated again into another life form, animal or human or ascended being, like they believe. And then essentially it's a never-ending cycle. And then that God is essentially selfish, because he doesn't want us to be living forever, because it is him. And then once everything comes together again, if you think about it, if you're alone sitting in a room, you're gonna want to fractal yourself again and forget. And that's why it was very sad, and I was pretty scared, because I was like, there's no way that these Illuminati people are right. This is why they are doing everything. They're trying to blend both dualities, because they want to break the chain. They want to destroy God, because they think he's evil, and they want to leave this realm and become gods, because they believe that if they reach the source, they can become godlike. And I know it sounds crazy, but you have to understand that there's this secret societies that network and control our world, and they're more crazy than. And then they always like to use the media, even though science backs up creation, whether it be supporting that there was a worldwide flood, backing up a young aged Earth, debunking the evolution lie theory, supporting biblical archaeological sites that Ron Wyatt found, or you can watch Dr. Kent Hovind's seminars, or Dr. Walt Brown's hydroplate theory, explaining 21 natural geological sites around the world, like the Mariana Trench and the Rocky Mountains and all this stuff, all these natural geological features that are explained through one global catastrophe, the global worldwide flood, where it did rain for 40 days and 40 nights, but all the water came from mostly underground. And even mainstream scientists admit there are oceans levels of water beneath the ground. Anyway, so science backs up creation, and these elites know that there is a God, but they use science to deceive us and say there's no God, because they want everyone to be living godless, and it's essentially a rebellion, right? But anyway, they believe that they're good, they're doing good because they want to destroy God and break the cycle of infinite reincarnation. That's why they see themselves as good, but they see everything as energy. They are essentially monistic, meaning they believe that they are God, and everything is God, and they are pantheistic because they believe the universe and nature and everything is God, and they believe that they're nihilistic because they believe that there's essentially no purpose, and they would probably promote destruction because they believe that destruction is actually a creator, you know what I mean? But anyway, that's why they want to blend moralities. That's why they want to blend the sexes. That's why they want to transgender everyone and confuse the youth, because they want to blend the male and the female. They want to destroy the world's climate. They want to destroy the old world, the economies, everything. They're destroying all the cultures. They're blending all the cultures. They're making people move from. You hear all over the world that they have these immigrant crisis where all these different people from different parts of the world are being flooded into different countries because they want to mix everything and blend everything. But they're completely wrong, because after I came out of the trip, I started thinking carefully, and I thought essentially it's the same common theme in these psychedelics, whether it be LSD, DMT, psilocybin mushrooms. And this is why I don't recommend Christians do it, because you're vulnerable to spiritual attack, and these entities, these demonic spiritual enemies, they will influence you with these thoughts, and they might try to convince you. But you have to remember that the Bible says, do not go off what you feel, because these drugs make you feel this. Go off by what you think and what you know. And I know that there's a satanic occult. I know that they always, like, Jesus Christ is the only one that they can mock and they can trash. You can mock, like, you can't mock any other culture, religion, or God, but you can mock Jesus. And people always seem like adamant to discredit or mock Jesus and say he wasn't real, because that's the spirit of the Antichrist speaking through them. And even at my work, there's this one guy, he's so adamant, like, he's very smart. His parents were both psychologists, but he knows a lot about history, but he knows, like, the mainstream history, the mainstream rewritten history that the elites rewrote, not the real history that's buried, right? Anyone can Google, oh, what happened during the Napoleonic Wars, or what happened, but we don't know the main reason, right? The true hidden reasons that what happened, right? Which you have to spend hours just digging through it and looking through independent researchers' writings. So anyway, essentially there's this common theme, right? That you always feel like that, but straight up God, he essentially, when he created everything, he expressed himself by creating us, but we are separate from God. We are not God, and that because he lives within us, but we again are not God, and we are separate from him. And he came down in human form because he's too pure and perfect, and Jesus Christ is our connection to him. And essentially God made laws not because he wants to rule over us, but because those laws and rules protect us from hurting ourselves. I find it very interesting. There's always a common theme that we are God and oneness when we take these psychedelic, especially mushrooms, because these entities are trying to influence us, and they're trying to tell us, like, quote unquote hidden knowledge, when really they're just trying to deceive us. And essentially that's what these elites believe. They believe that they are good and they're actually trying to save humanity, but they don't know, they don't want to believe that God is, and like I just said, I know the Bible is true because of my experiences with having a relationship with God, because of what I've learned through history about evolution being a lie. I can see they found Noah's Ark that has been excavated by creation scientists, and they're explaining, that what their findings, and also just seeing that they do satanic rituals in Hollywood, and these elites do this stuff, like, and seeing history. I just know that the God of the Bible is the real deal, and that he has a perfect plan. And essentially he was lonely, and he made us because people always like, why is there evil in the world, right? It was because life is a test, and he wants us to go through a hard life and either see if we're going to sell out to the evil powers of the world and choose to do evil, or be good and follow him and have a relationship through him and know him. And straight up, the elites, they believe that we are all energy, and you have to know your dark side to know your good, and there has to be, when you have light, you have darkness, and that's why they believe that everything's dualistic, and they believe that you can do bad deeds and just balance it out with good deeds. And that's why they always do, like, philanthropy and charitable works in front of everyone. But anyway, if you do charity, just essentially don't do it in front of the public. Just do it privately, because that's what God teaches. Not to be like bragging and saying, hey, look how much I give to charity, because that would not matter at all. But essentially these people are wrong, because this realm is not, well, first of all, I know there's no space. I don't believe in outer space. I used to believe it. I used to be an atheist too, but after researching and finding the truth, I know there's no space. They're lying about it because they want us to believe in other aliens and other higher level beings that maybe potentially created us, and doubt God and doubt creation, but essentially we're at the center of this realm. We're in an enclosed system. This is essentially Middle Earth. We're living in like a snow globe, and there's water above, water below, and the stars and the sun and moon are within this dome, and the sky is the ceiling. The ceiling's the limit. Straight up, this realm is not this universe. Universe is ancient Greek for uni, single, and verse, spoken sentence. So single spoken sentence, what God said in one single sentence, he created everything. And essentially the universe does not work dualistically, because if you think about it, like darkness is not the opposite of light, because light is something, darkness is nothing. Light is, you could say it's a particle, but it's actually a vibration through the ether, but essentially it's a vibration through the ether. It's not so what, nothing is the opposite of it, you know what I mean? Or like heat is energy, cold is nothing, no energy, lack of energy. Like love is God working through you, or having God in your heart. Hatred is having no God in your heart. You know what I mean? So essentially this realm is not based off dualism. So they have their whole philosophy is wrong. And then just to further back up, creation is like, if you think about it, it's just logically a logical point of view, but even though this science backs up a realm and creation, no evolution, young age, earth, but if you think about it, the ancient cultures around the world, if you look at their like world point of view, like the cultures that existed thousands of years ago, all of them, from the ancient Sumerians, the ancient Egyptians, the ancient Greek, the ancient Indians, like from people from India, or like the ancient North American Indians and the Mayans, all of them believed in, or like the Nordic people, they all believed in, and the ancient Chinese too, they all believed in an enclosed system with a ceiling above us, a firmament. So all these ancient cultures that were advanced in astronomy, mathematics, architecture, they were more advanced than us. They could build architecture that we can't replicate today, and they could align that with the stars. So they had advanced knowledge in astronomy too. But you're telling me that they didn't know that the shape of the earth? That is complete lies and bullshit. And they always write the same thing about how, oh yeah, Eratosthenes, they always say, oh yeah, he knew that the earth was a ball because he discovered the circumference. No, he discovered the path that the sun takes around our earth, the circumference. So it's a flat realm, and he knew that the circle of the whole realm. That's essentially what he, using the sun rays and the angles that he knew the sun was hitting at a certain point, like in a well, and the shadow was making in one city. He used that angle to figure out the circumference of the earth. But that doesn't mean that he said it was a ball, but they like to lie about that. Every culture, even the ancient Chinese, they all had a story about Noah's flood, a great flood that in ancient China, it was Fuhai. Fuhai, he was the one who came off a boat after the flood, and he repopulated the world. But every culture has it. And why does every culture have it? Because it was true. These elites want to destroy history, and they bury things online, and they straight up don't want people to know the truth, because they want people to be unbelievers and then join their cult, so that they can brainwash society to think that we can become God. The evolution theory that man is evolving, when really in the beginning of time, like they want us to believe that man was primitive in the past and that we're evolving. But in reality, man was more advanced in the past, and we're degenerating genetically and mentally, actually, if you look around. Anyway, so they essentially brainwash people to join their cult through media, and then when they come out and say, hey, we're the cult that runs the world, everyone's gonna be like cheer, you know what I mean, and be happy, right? And that's gonna be the the new world order, right? And then everyone will take the mark of the beast, the one world digital currency, right? Central banking digital currency. But anyway, essentially, in straight up, if you search online ancient Chinese characters and you search the word for garden, and the word for garden has, if you break down the garden word, it actually has 3 more words, and it's actually telling the story of the Garden of Eden in ancient Chinese, the characters, because they were so smart, and they knew that they would keep the story alive in their language. And also ancient Chinese, the word for boat has the story of Noah's Ark. But the next dynasties, right, they start studying other stuff, right, and start saying, okay, we have to change the language so we can hide that stuff. Anyway, that's all I want to talk about. God bless you and your families. And I don't recommend you do any psychedelics. Peace.